Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and yes, we're back with Silverstone auctions at the NEC because this weekend the NEC is holding its mega classic car show and the auction is here. Now this is a 3-day sale, so that it's absolutely rammed with cars and bikes to get round. The first day is Friday, which is the motorbike sale, 99 bikes in a hall 5 away from here, and then Saturday there's an automobile sale in the morning, and then 70 cars on Saturday afternoon, and then a further 65 cars on the Sunday. They're all arriving. You're going to hear no end of noise in the background because this is setup day. We're literally, I should be wearing a high-vis jacket. There's a chap over there who's a bit upset, but we're going to crack on and see as many cars as we can. I'm going to start with this corner here, which is full of Defenders. Now, I'm going to go into this deep dive into Defenders here because it's not often you get gathered together so many special editions. This is the 60th anniversary Defender, 2009 that one came out. That was significant to me because it was the first time it was labelled SVX, which we'll see in a moment was meant to be the ultimate version of Defender, SVX. The 60th anniversary like this actually had a roll cage outside and was a soft top Defender. They're quite sought after, not many were built. This one is guided at 50 to 60,000 pounds. Probably a lot more affordable is this one. Now this is what I would call Queen Spec Defender in the right colour, Epsom green, and this is done very few miles. This is from 1995, 7,000 miles on it and offered with no reserve. If I was putting one away, it's obvious to have the sort of collector type, the 60-year one, but something like that to me is classic sort of semi-modern Defender and quite collectible. I'd be very interested to see what that goes for. Very usable car. That is another anniversary 2016 one. This was the last of the line of Defenders. This was produced in 2016. Literally the last 100, 200 off the line. That is one of those. But what I wanted to show you was this one, which is the 50th anniversary. And I did live with one of these back in very early days of Evo. This was 1998 this came out. And what made this 50th anniversary special to me was it had this metallic paint finish, and under the bonnet is a V8 engine. So the others are diesel engines, but no, this one V8. And what made it really good, it comes with an automatic gearbox. That means you're not reminded every time you change gear what heavy clutch a Defender has, etc. So it's all automatic. And I also like these sort of age of Defender, like the Queen Spec one over there. You've got 4 individual seats in the back. It's sort of very practical. And these are fetching quite a lot of money now as well. This one is guided at 50 to 60,000 pounds, so the same price as the 60th anniversary. If I had to choose between the two, I'd have the 50th anniversary all day long. That's a really nice example. Look at them all here. An early Range Rover, we've looked at those before, it's a 1981 one there, but what I really wanted to show you was this Spectre Defender. Now, a number of these have gone through auction already and one hasn't appeared for a while, but suddenly this one has arrived. And the reason why this has just arrived is just been restored. And you think, what's it been restored for? Well, this particular Spectre Defender from the James Bond movie Spectre had an unfortunate sort of end in the film as James Bond was landing that plane, went through a barn, hit this Defender, it rolled, and it was deemed to be written off. But Bowler guys got to work and said, no, we can repair that. So this is the proper Spectre Defender from the movie, but basically wrecked in the movie, brought back to life, and they've even road registered it. It's a nice registration on it as well. This is an SVX, just like that 60th anniversary. There's a special badge on the back, and they've done a tremendous job getting it back because it really was wrecked in the film. And it's offered with no reserve, so I'll be fascinated to see what that makes. Lots of them are making north of £200,000, but this one has really been in the movie. I'll be very interested what it makes. Loads of car. Let's go and dash over here. There's a load of Porsches over here. I want to have a look round. Yeah, if you're looking for a winter project, here's one. Volvo P1800S. This is the injection version. This has been waiting in a barn to come up for sale. I'm not sure when it was last used, but some time ago. 2 owners from new, offered us no reserve. I think they're really quite a cool car, this. It doesn't look too rusty from where I'm looking at it. I think it's best viewed from a distance, but a really interesting car. That's not what I want to show you though. I want to show you over some very interesting Porsches over here. First one here, really nice Porsche Turbo, 3.3 964 version of the Turbo. I don't know, I think these are just sleeping under the radar. Everybody's getting excited about the 993 Turbo and they're climbing to around the £100,000 mark, or the 930, the original Turbo. This 964 is guided at 68 to £78,000, super tidy, right-hand drive, all the bills. Lots of these for sale. I haven't looked at it closely, but it's a sort of track day special, 3 litre SC, made to do track hill climbs or whatever with you, and sensibly guided about 38,000, I think. The one I wanted to show you is this 914. Now, I just think this is another interesting Porsche. We all get excited with the 912, etc., but the 914 was Porsche's better handling, 4-cylinder, affordable Porsche. And I think I'm growing to like the looks of this. Highly practical. Obviously, it's like an early Boxer, but not a Boxer. 1974, this one, 914, been restored. And you can see the engine. What I love about these, they're air-cooled, obviously, and they breathe through this back vent here. I can see the top of the carburetors here. And so they're sort of mid-engines. We always think as 911's obviously rear engine. This is mid-engine Porsche. Loads of space. Nicely done, Targa as well, and guided at 18 to 22,000 for a fully restored example. Don't know, just interested in that one. Anyway, have a look down here. Slightly unusual car here. This is actually a Porsche Gt3. You wouldn't guess it because it's been done in the livery of a German police car, the Polizei. Why they've done it, I'm not quite sure. It does make it slightly cheaper. This is a year 2000 GT3 at about £45,000. Very easy to get it straight back to a GT3 if that's what you want. But I wanted to show you this car. Now, you really need to know your Porsches if you know this. This is actually a roof and not a Porsche. And that is because Roof were allowed to manufacture their own cars using the 911 body shell, unstamped by Porsche. So this actually has a Roof serial number, chassis number on it, rather than a Porsche. They're known as W09 cars, and this is one of 5 of this BTR2 993 Turbo. Quite a mouthful, but such a rare car. But I just sense Roof are the tuner of choice going forward for collectability. It was just a wonderful workshop, and the cars they produced were so usable. But it's all streamlined here. You can see how they've added this to get rid of any wind noise to up the top speed. And Roof did a 993 Turbo in a different way. They used a single turbo rather than a twin turbo as the standard Porsche car, but it's very similar performance, if not a little bit quicker. Super tidy example, beautiful instruments, etc., all in Roof, but being collectible and one of only 5, well, it's estimated at 195 to 225,000. Lovely, lovely thing. Look at this little gaggle over here, and not all the cars are here, but there's some superstars here. 22B. Now this is a UK car, and this is only 15,000 miles from new. Utterly pristine. I've had a quick look around it. It's completely standard and super rare at this low mileage and a proper UK car. And that is reflected in its guide. I think it's guided at 230 to 280,000 pounds. Highly, highly collectible. But this represents really good value as well. This is a Tommy Macklin Evo 6. Look at it in the proper colours. There's another one in this sale as well in a sort of blue metallic colour. But if I was going to own one, it has to be like this. All original it looks inside. Tommy Macklin Recaro seats and guided at 40 to 50,000 pounds. If you're looking at that Ford Focus behind me and thinking, why isn't he talking about that? That is in a future sale. That is a Colin McRae, Nicky Grish World Rally car. and it's just here to announce that it's going into a Silverstone auction next year. I will tell you more about it once I know which sale it's going to go into. But this is really quite fun as well. I love the stance of these Renault Turbo 2s. And this is particularly special because this was given to Derek Warwick when he was driving for Renault. Apparently Jenson Button got one as well. He got a Clio V6, sorry. And I once interviewed Fernando Alonso when he drove for Renault. I said, did you get offered a car? He says, yeah, I got a Clio V6. And he said something repeatable, but he didn't think it made a particularly good road car, so he gave his back. But this one, now look at it. Derek Warwick, as I say, now the only thing I can't quite work out, this has got a roll cage in and full harness seats, etc. And it hasn't got the standard wheels on it. But with that sort of history, it's very collectible and guided at 65 to 75,000 pounds. I wouldn't mind one of those. There's one more rally car I want to show you, just turned up. Look at this. This is the Vauxhall Chevette HS. Now, and not only that, this is Jimmy McRae's car, and I'm very lucky because I've actually been in this car with Jimmy McRae at a crazy Goodwood dinner. Came out of the dinner at night, and Jimmy McRae was waiting outside. He said, jump in, Harry, and he took me around the rally stage in this at about midnight. Mad car. I've always loved the HS Chevette. It's just crazy with this Lotus engine in it. It was pretty successful, rear wheel drive, quite compact car, and I'm surprised that the value isn't more on this. Yes, it's a Group 4, but an ex-works car, guided at 80 to 90,000 pounds for a proper bit of rally history. Well, if you like E-types, well, there's plenty to choose from in this sale. V12 versions here, 3.8s, 4.2s, but I wanted to show you this one. And you're probably thinking, what on earth is that? The quad light version. There's one, they think it's one of 3 done like this. Really interesting backstory on this car. The Earl of Caldor ordered this car from Jaguar, and he wanted some specific features on it. It's got competition wire wheels on it, you can't see there. It's got a Webasto roof, it's got a blue-pruted engine and Coney shock absorbers and some special reclining seats in it. He then took it to Abbey Panels and put this quad light conversion on it, so he had better lights at night. If you actually have the covered lights like that, they're a bit rubbish when you go out at night, so he wanted good lights. Anyway, so he really enjoyed his car, so much that he actually crashed it, and the Webasto roof, he was ejected through the Webasto roof and survived, and it was all good. The car has been rebuilt, but it's just an interesting story, and one of, it's either 2 or 3 with that quad light conversion. Like it or loathe it, I think that's a really interesting car, and guided at 70 to 80,000 pounds. If you really want the ultimate E-Type, this might be it. This is a flat floor with the outside bonnet catches on it. So this is a super early car and beautifully restored. A really original colour as well. It's a dark blue, sort of purple colour, sort of red hide there as well, and highly collectible. One of this very early car that was actually an experimental car in its early part of its life, like a works car within it, and then went to collector. And the person who's owned it for the last, I think it's been family owned for 40 years since this was last marketed. And I've just not seen an E-Type quite like this one. So I think that's the most special one in the sale. But yeah, it will fetch a lot of money. I think it's guided at 275 to 295,000 pounds. Oh, I don't know where to go next, but I thought I'll show you these fast Fords. There's a whole row of white, uber desirable Fords here. Ford Escort Mark 1 RS 1600. Holy grail of Escorts. These were just made so they could go rallying. It's like a homologation special. To see one unmolested, just in normal showroom condition, yeah, I mean, it's just lovely. If I had enough pocket money, I would love to tuck one of these away just for what it meant, just watching those Escorts in the forest. Guided at 65 to 75,000 pounds. Lovely. Oh, RS 2000. This one is utterly original. I've been round it. It's even got the Pioneer speakers in the back that we used to fit in the day. It's got the Recaro seats in it as well. 28,000 miles from new and guided at 40 to 50,000 pounds accordingly. Oh, well, just have a regular, if there is such a thing, twin cam Escort Mark 1 like that. On the mini light wheels as well. Again, most of them have just gone it straight into competition. To find a road going example like this is incredibly rare. This one has restored in the 80s apparently, retaining its AVO Type 49 body shell. Really lovely to see it, and just a time warp example, guided at 45 to 55,000. They're everywhere, these cars. There's a Sierra RS, the Cosworth version over there as well. That's the four-wheel drive version, that sort of end of the line. But the first original one was obviously this, the RS Cosworth. Now this one, 1987, and only 10,000 miles from new. It just looks perfect. I've never seen quite so many fast fours. I think they've all come from one collection, and I love the way they're all white as well. If you want this RS Cosworth, then yeah, 80 to 100,000, and there's an RS 500 Cosworth over there for about, I think it's about 120, 130,000, super low mileage as well. Don't know where to stop. Oh, I have to mention this one actually. Now, 3 litre E Capri Mark 1, 1971. I can remember walking past one of these on my way to school and back when I was at school in the Wirral, and this was it. I just wished my dad had one of these. This was the sort of ultimate version of the 3000E, and it was in this colour, Ross tyre wheels on it, and 22 to 26,000 pounds. Yes, it's an automatic version, but look at it. Go find another, as they used to say. Honestly, I could carry on with fast fours here, even a forward for 2.8 i 4x4, so four-wheel drive version with a 3-door body shell. Super rare. Anyway, let's move on. I want to show you this Ferrari down here. Now, there's nothing I like better than all original cars, and this Ferrari 365 GT4 2+2 is utterly original and basically one owner from new. He bought it from Maranello concessionaires in 1974, and the original owner sadly died in 2000, I think it was, and it passed on to his wife. So this has had one family owner from new, and I'm told the actual detail on backstory on this car and all the documents are all with it, and it's a huge history file with it. I love the colours of it. It's a manual car as well, and 25,000 miles from new. Just look at it. I think they're coming of age. I tested that one with the Espada, and it had a sort of different feel to this. It's very much a luxury GT car with that wonderful V12 engine, 5-speed gearbox, air conditioning as standard, and power steering as standard on these as well, and guided at 70 to 80,000 pounds. It's one of the best I've ever seen. And then you go to these, look, you rarely see a Maserati Marac. And this is an SS version, and look, next door there's also an SS version. This is 1981, I think that one's 1983. They're interesting cars at Maserati Marac. It was a time with obviously Citroen involved. They've got Citroen brakes on them, but they were a 2+2 mid-engine car. Quite bizarre really. And V6, 3 litre V6. They're not as powerful as Ferrari, 220 horsepower for the SS version, but just such a lovely design, and aging beautifully, pop-up lights and Campagnola wheels on them, and sort of affordable as well. This one is guided at 55 to 65,000, and I think that one's just around the 50,000 pound mark in its original yellow colour. Just great to see 2 examples in the same sale. So many cars. This is another one I wanted to show you. F430. Now there are a number of F430 Spiders. There's one just behind there, bright red, looks exactly the same, almost the same colour interior, but this one is a manual rather than the F1 gearbox, and they're rare cars. I did a test on an F430 manual about just over a year ago. it makes a dramatic difference to the enjoyment of your car. I couldn't get over how good. I love the F430. I think it's a real step on from 360, well worth the premium. And once you got to Ferrari 458, it's a different car altogether. F430 is a delightful thing, and in manual form here, 90 to 110,000 pounds buys you that car. That looks good value to me. Gosh, I don't know where to start. Well, there's the F1 gearbox car, and that's guided at 80 to 95,000, so not that much less. But we ought to just have a look at this Citroen Sm. Every time I see one of these, I just smile. Just the engineering, the fact they are much wider at the front than they are at the back. That was the teardrop design that Citroen did for aerodynamics. On obviously the crazy 6 lights up the front that swivel when you turn the wheel. So crazy. And this is Mike Brewer's car. You can just see a sign there. There are a number of cars from his own personal collection in this sale. Several minis over there. I can see a Lotus Cortina hiding around here. Oh, this Mini Cooper he brought from the States. It was John Cooper's car. But yeah, Citroen Sm, lovely colour. Interior just looking a bit tired, but the original interior, and guided at 35 to 45,000 pounds. I really wanted to show you this because this is quite an unusual example of a 600 SL, a 1993 example, but 5,000 miles from new, bought by a foreign royal family, kept in London, and basically hardly used at all. I've never seen one quite like it, guided at 27 to 30,000 pounds, I think. Another one of these Alfa Romeo Atls, coming from this workshop near Lake Como. Just, as I say, has Mille Miglia written all over it. A barchetta, so no roof with it, quilted leather interior, and around 80 to 100,000 pounds for that. Jensen FF, they're just everywhere. I haven't got time to look at that with the four-wheel drive, or even this one. This is Aston Martin Lagonda, 1979. Apparently the first customer car. It's a lovely colour combination. There is little patches of corrosion happening on it, but it's all together, and I love it's also got a original mobile phone inside it as well, and an 8-track sticking out the dash. Where do you go next? Mike Brewer's Lotus Cortina Mark 1, look, just a road-going one, hasn't raced, estimated at 45 to 50,000 pounds. Utterly iconic car. Austin 7. This Ford Focus RS has no miles on it. I don't know where these cars hide for so long. So it was originally registered 2003, and it's done 335 miles from new. If you want a Ford Focus RS Mark 1, here you are. Try and find another one of those. Another car, a real favourite of mine, my Alfa Romeo Duetto, but super rare in right-hand drive form. And this is a 1750 version as well, with the bigger engine. They originally came out as 1600. I really like this. This showed up sort of British roadsters at the time, a very easy roof mechanism, quite a stiff chassis. That's the other bit that really impressed me with it, and guided at 35 to 40,000 pounds. There is so much going on around here. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. There's rubbish collections. So there's 2 TR6s in the sale. They haven't actually turned up, so I can't show you those 2 cars. I just want to show you 2 Quattros in the sale. But this one caught my eye because this is a very early 1981 UR Quattro. Original colour with the lovely upholstery you got in this period, and you can sort of tell these early ones with the full lights. So then you've got smoothed off lights with this 20 valve example. These one to me is the original Quattro, and because they're 10 valve rather than 20 valve, they just have a bit more of a voice when you're actually driving them. And that nice example, and guided at 55 to 65,000 pounds. E34 M5, the right colours, right-hand drive as well, 1990. So this still had the straight 6 in it, and then it changed to the V8 version. But this had the straight 6 of the E28 in it. And I don't know, 45,000 miles from new, 30 to 35,000 pounds, but super rare. Oh, it's got the Hartger wheels on it though. Good driving machine, that one. There's another Japanese corner down here, Skylines. Nissan Skyline V Spec are getting very, very collectible. I was amazed when I saw the guide on this one. So this is 2000 V Spec 2, 110 to 120,000 pounds. They're collectible worldwide. That's why they've gone up in value so much. I think this is, yeah, single car ownership, 68,000 miles. There's another one down here we'll get to in a moment. S2000, the original Honda birthday present itself, 50 years of Honda, and this super high revving VTEC engine, 32,000 miles from new. They are just a delight, and that high revving VTEC car engine will never go out of fashion, obviously, with manual gearbox, but 15 to 20,000 pounds for that. But no, this is probably my favourite Skyline of all. It's the first one I ever drove was actually this, the R33 V Spec like this. And the straight six, the sound it made, the way it went down the road, the way you hadn't really any clue it was four-wheel drive. It sort of handled like a two-wheel drive car. And it was just weapon grade from Japan before we'd really understood what the Japanese performance car market, where it was going to head in the early days of Evo. This is a really nice example, and guided at 38 to 44,000 pounds. So many cars to look at. Another Evo 6 there. Oh, a Spec C. Now this car has history at Evo magazine. Ian Litchfield imported this. This was a special edition, sort of lower geared, high horsepower car from Japan, and we just couldn't believe this machine when we drove it at Evo at the time, when Ian gave it to us. This is actually the car that Ian brought in and the one that featured in Evo. Real piece of Impreza history, 25 to 30,000 pounds. Gosh, I haven't even done the bikes. I don't know if we ought to just dash off to the hall and have a quick look at the bikes, and then we'll finish up with the cars in a moment. Right, we're down with the bikes now. I just want to give you just a flavour of this, nothing more, but this is the original super bike of all, the Honda CB754 in that's L-Red, so 1973, a very early bike there, around 10,000 pounds. But this is the great things I find with bikes is the variety. Look at these two little tiny racing 50cc motorbikes. Yes, in Italy it was a real craze for racing 50cc bikes. They wound them up in incredible horsepower, really, from just the revs. These things rev to 15, 16,000 RPM. Little bicycle wheels. It's all about being tiny, getting behind the fairing, and momentum, keeping them going. Gordon Murray is quite obsessed with this sort of racing bike and has quite a collection of them. And these are in for about £2,000, £2,500 or something like that. This Garelli would be my favourite of the two, with a little seat. I mean, that's a mountain bike tyre on the back of that, nothing more. Another little bike I wanted to show you, just a Ducati Monster 800cc bike. Very simple. If you were going to get into biking, that is just lovely. A naked bike means you really don't go that quick on it. 70 miles an hour and you've got an absolute gale blowing at you. Or you could have an early two-stroke, the Yamaha RD350 like this one, a two-stroke bike, and great performance, super lightweight. Now, this is one of the best Paris-Dakar type bikes of them all. One of my huge favourites. This is the RD03. This is a Honda Africa Twin, original 650cc, now getting very collectible. Never actually brought into the UK, but sold in Europe, and now everybody wants them. This is, I think, guided about £6,500. I have to show my two bikes. Here they are. This is, I'm sorry, it's a little dirty because it came in an open trailer this morning. It's mucky weather, but a Cagiva Elephant 900E. Wild thing, 900cc Ducati engine, sounds just like a Ducati, and yet it's this off-road type machine. It's got quite a snatchy clutch, it's got a dry clutch. It makes a great road bike, handling unbelievable for the size of it, and just a different sort of bike. It's not the best thing off-road, it's a bit too big for it. If you want to go off-road, well, then you can have my XL 600 are Paris-Dakar bikes, so much lighter weight, kickstart only, and really good off-road, not so good on-road. But I don't know, where do you start? Look at this little motor goods seat. I have no idea what this thing is. Little can of fuel just in case you run out on the mountains. I don't know, early Greaves, 200 cc's, looks like a Villiers engine on it. I say, there's a bike for everyone around here. Scooters I can see, monkey bikes, etc. All in the catalogue, but they're very affordable, and I just think they enhance a garage. Even if you're not a biker, there's just something mechanical art. Anyway, let's get back to the cars. Well, just back to cars. We just arrived here. These three cars, no miles on them. I can't get over. I've always really liked this Jaguar XJS Le Mans version, so you can tell by the quad lights like that and the cross-spoke wheels. 1,500 miles from new, that car. There's a convertible M3 there, 600 miles from new. And of all things, the RS4 in the background, that Audi RS4, 200 miles from new, that one. Madness. Where do these cars live for all this time and just do no miles? But the two cars I wanted to finish on were these two Ferraris, both Ferrari 330s, two very different cars, even though they're both Ferrari 330s, same sort of period. This is the GT 2+2, so this has a longer cabin, etc., and you've got a decent rear accommodation in the background. And I had one of these cars for a number of years, and it was apparently Enzo's car of choice at the period as well. What got me about this car, beautifully elegant, loved the V12 on it. The handling wasn't quite so good, and the ride wasn't quite as good as I expected. And I was amazed to find that it had a live axle and basically kart springs in the back. That's not so with this Ferrari 330. And having owned that, this is a bit of a dream Ferrari to me because it has such an elegant look. And this particular example was owned by a customer, and for the last 20 years he's been restoring it to make the most perfect Ferrari 330 GTC, as they're termed. And the key difference with these is their independent rear suspension on it, much more sporting and lighter weight, shorter wheelbase. It's basically a sportier version. There is a 365 version of this, and they're a lot of money. They're going the other side of £1 million. But this car, £495,000 to £545,000, so £500,000. Yes, it's a lot of money, but for me it is an absolute peach of a classic Ferrari of the 60s, and very elegant as well. I should mention that 330 is guided at about 160 to 200,000. So many cars, what a rush to get round everything, but I hope you enjoyed this look at this Silverstone sale that's coming up this weekend. So today is Wednesday, setup day, that's why there's so much noise and craziness going in the background. Tomorrow they'll just tidy everything up, and Friday is the first viewing day. Friday morning, that's the 12th of November, and then the bike sale starts at 2 o'clock on the Friday. Then there's the next sale on the Saturday, Automobilia, and the first half of these cars, and then Sunday, the rest of the Automobilia, and the final sale of the remaining cars, 135 cars in all. All the info is on Silverstone's website, so check on there if you want more details on individual lots and some of the cars I've missed. I'm sorry I didn't catch them all. If you want to bid, you have to register before the sale, and you can watch the sale online via proxy bid or on YouTube. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind roundup of all the cars coming up for sale in the Silverstone auction this weekend. If you have, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming along very soon.